in the beginning of the crèche, and how the idea of the crèche was actually a live crèche, and how this story that came from Luke. Remember, Luke is the one who has the lady perspective. It's of Mary. It's of the birth. It's of traveling for the census. It's about how the birth happens and the child is laid in a manger. That this story of Christmas was not celebrated for many, many years. And that the story of Christmas and the child's birth is a more recent event in the timeline of the church. Let that idea soak in for just a second. So what was it that they celebrated? What they celebrated was today. Epiphany. The Gospel of Matthew. Matthew is the men's version of the birth story. It doesn't have the labor pains. It doesn't have them lying in a manger. In Matthew's Gospel, the angel comes to Joseph and says, "Do not be afraid to take your wife, to take your fiancée as your wife, even though she is with child, because she is with child from the Holy Spirit." And even though he was considering letting her be divorced and quiet and not be shamed, he took her as his wife. And they lived in Bethlehem. And they lived in a house. And the star arose in the east. And these people who were astronomers said, "Look, this might be the star that we've been waiting for. This is the light. We're going to go towards the light. We're going to follow the star." And they set out from the east on camels. These astronomers, these magi, often called kings. And they set forth to follow the star. They had no idea where the star would lead them. But they knew that this was a sign. And they had the feeling that there would be a king that this star celebrated. Now it took them over 2 years to get to that place. Can you imagine setting out on a journey? Take a few things. I mean, I don't think you could, I've seen camels. Rick's been on a camel. I chose not to ride a camel. There's not a lot you can pack on a camel. So you're taking basically maybe some underwear, a few gifts. And isn't it interesting? They brought gifts with them. I mean, the tradition has often been in the past, when you go to visit someone, you always take them a gift if you stay at their house, right? But I mean, or go visit them if they have a party. There's always some hospitality gift. And this has been a tradition for a really long time. And they knew that they were going to go, and they knew that they were going to honor this king. They knew that the king would be a child. So they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. It's kind of an interesting combination, isn't it? There's a lot of comics that you can see on the internet these days that said if the 3 wise men had been women, they would have been like diapers, wipes, and maybe some formula or something, you know? But with all the wonderful intentions, the wise men came bearing gifts. And they set off not knowing where they would go. How many of us in our lives today would be willing, if called by God, to get in their car, or get on a bike, or God forbid, walk, for as long as it took to get to where God was calling you to go, without knowing where that might be? But that's what the wise men did. And according to the Greek, when they got there, it was a child. It wasn't a baby. And as I was reading the gospel, Reed stepped into the aisle. He would probably have been about Reed's age, about 2 years old, a little more, a little less. And this was the one that they came to worship, the one they came to adore. This was the one that scared Herod. Herod was not a nice person. They came to Herod and they said, isn't this also interesting? 3 men on a journey for 2 years, and they stopped and asked for directions. They stopped for directions. They came to the king. They said, we're kind of looking for a king. Maybe we'll stop and ask this king, hey, you know where this king lives? And Herod said, a king? Uh-oh, this is trouble for me. I kind of like my little power thing I have going on here. And I don't want any competition. And so he brings all of his people together. And interestingly enough, it's said, and it's one of the things that came full force to me as I read it this year, the people were scared as well. Not only was Herod afraid, but the people of Jerusalem were afraid as well. But the kings weren't afraid. Kings didn't even know where they were going. But they weren't afraid. This is the day that the church celebrated. The day when the kings came to say, this young child, he is the king of the Jews. This is going to be the one who will lead us, who will shepherd us, and ultimately, as we know, saves us. So it brings us up to some challenges this year, doesn't it? For our whole lifetimes, we've kind of thought that we've taken these 2 stories, and you can see over here, our wise men are way over on the other side. They're nowhere near this, because this is one story. This is the story of Luke, and this is the story of Matthew. And they're 2 very different stories that focus on very different things. Both important, both relevant, but very different. They talk about how Christ became incarnate and came into the world, and what that experience was like for the people who were reading the Gospel of Luke, and for those who were being told the Gospel of Matthew. Our challenge this year is to walk towards things and not be afraid. Our challenge this year is to take what we know to be true of one story, but be willing to listen to another story as well. The Luke story is not better or worse than the Matthew story. The Matthew story is not better or worse than the Luke story. Both are valid. Both are important. Both bring us information that we need to understand our relationship with Jesus Christ in a different way. It's a different perspective. So oftentimes we get stuck in seeing things in the same way over and over again. And right now in this time in our church, in our community, and in our country, we need to be able to draw ourselves so that we can see more than one perspective. God has given us 4 Gospels. 4 different perspectives on the life of Christ. We ourselves come from one place. We see things. We are older, we are wiser, and we're very clear about some of our perspectives. But some of them are not better or worse than other perspectives that others have. We need to enlighten ourselves by considering that there's more than one way to look at something, and that each of those has value and is important. So this year, as we as a community take stock of what we have and who we are, and we enter out into the community to help those that are calling us by God to serve them and to be in relationship with them, let us take the perspectives that we have and hold them dear. while being able to take the light of the star that led the wise men, not knowing where they would go or what they might find, but yet being prepared because they were being sent by God to do the work they were given to do. Let us open ourselves up to different perspectives, because God is calling us on a journey. And we're not quite sure yet where that journey is going to take us. And yet we are called to not be afraid. Amen.
Amen.